Good evening and welcome everybody to this very first stream of the 5th season of the Post Esports Masters. For tonight, I and none other than the one, the only, the wonderful Freshtana shall be your hosts. Welcome, Freshtana.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so hyped for that. Actually, it's such a nice feeling to be back in the Post Esports Masters. It's just it feels really amazing. Actually, I can't wait to see those games and to see the whole season.
Yes, well, Post Esports Masters with League of Legends just wouldn't be the same without you. We gotta be honest there. So, of course, it was a no-brainer to bring you back for some banger games here in the Luxembourgish esports scene. And I don't know if you've followed a bit, or actually any of the viewers have followed a bit what's been going on with the Post Esports Masters, because with this 5th season we have quite a few things that have changed. As you can see already, wonderful new overlay here, and over social media there might have been a few things that you notice as well. And about that, maybe before we get into the gist of tonight's show, we can see how the format of the whole season has changed a bit. We have a format explanation video to play off, and maybe we can take a look at that before going any further. Greetings and welcome all to the Post Esports Masters Season 5. Spring comes in early this year as the competition prepares for quite a few changes. We're excited to dive into this season with our new lineup of games as we're traveling new tracks and bring back old gold. This year, teams are in the limelight of the Post Esports Masters, with League of Legends and Rocket League coming back from a more or less distant past, and with our newest addition, Valorant. For each game, everything starts with their qualifiers played in a Swiss tournament system, resulting in 12 teams for League of Legends and Valorant and 16 teams for Rocket League to lock in their spot for the regular season. This year, the competition will house more teams than ever before, and to accommodate that, we've decided to introduce 2 divisions. In each division, teams will face off in a double round-robin format over the course of 4 weeks, with set game days on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the first division. There, only the top teams will be paving their way towards playoffs and get a shot at the big finale later in the year, while the lower teams will tread shakier grounds as they will face the top 2 teams of the second division to defend their spot for the next season of the Post Esports Masters. All these teams will of course be competing to get their fair share of a total prize pool of 20,000 euros. So sign up now on postesportsmasters.lu. Yes, you've heard it. Quite a few things shaking up for this season, with the only game staying from the past season being Rocket League, League of Legends making its comeback, Valorant coming in. So quite a few fun things that are going on in this 5th season of the Post Esports Masters. And you've heard it, 2 divisions. Now, of course, this broadcast, we're going to look at the first division. First division is going to be broadcasted in its entirety on Tuesdays and Thursdays, meaning, well, today is Tuesday, so we're looking at Division 1. Division 2 is not being broadcast officially. However, there is quite a few community broadcasts that are going to be set up, I think, or have already been set up by the teams. You can find those on the Discord, and we'll see to get those also out in the open at some point on the social media and so on, in order to shed some light on those matches as well. And if you want to follow the second division just casually by looking up the scores, you can always take a look at the postesportsmasters.lu website, where there is all the results of Division 1 and Division 2. Of course, I'm being told in my ear that apparently Nocturnal, the wonderful esports organization here in Luxembourg, who also participate in the second division, are actually doing community streams for the second division. We'll see to get a link set up on the Nightbot for the next stream, so you can easily check that up. Well, we have quite a few things ahead of us for today as well, namely 4 games being played for the first division, and maybe we can go over today's schedule.
Of course.
Yes, so we can see, and I think, Freshtana, maybe there's a few familiar logos there to you already, and quite a few new ones as well. We're starting off with VACE Esports and Hitmonli, two new coming teams when it comes to League of Legends in the scene here. VACE having been established for a bit longer. However, Hitmonli, we'll take a look at the roster later, and I think there's quite a few familiar faces in there that you should be able to recognize as well.
Definitely. Game 2 will be held by Red Lions, formerly known as Brotherhood of the Red Lion, of course. If you guys can remember, they once won Post Esports Masters, so definitely a familiar face. And then, of course, the Royal Family Esports, a name we all know, we all love as well in the Luxembourgish scene. So definitely some familiar faces here and there. So will be a banger matchup, definitely.
Yes, most definitely. Third match of the day is going to be Snooze Esports going up against Stabil. Snooze Esports Academy team participating here in the Post Esports Masters. Their main roster playing ESL First Division, the ERL League of the Benelux, where we'll have a bunch of known guys. This roster is mainly people who are quite well known in the Luxembourgish League of Legends scene, along with a few of the players of Hitmonli, notably. And Stabil, who is also a new organization that was a bunch of friends who came together and decided to just play here and actually did really well in the qualifiers, and thus here they are.
Yeah, definitely. Also with some familiar faces, at least the support player I know from past Post Esports Master season. So definitely some names you hear here and there are pretty known. So will be an enjoyable time. And I think especially if we look at the last post-season Master seasons, we have a higher like competition in terms of player base. Because I believe, especially in the first or second season, we had some really good strong teams, and then some they play here, but probably would play in the Division 2, for example. And now we have just I think doubles the teams, so with 2 divisions, so plenty more players, stronger teams. So that's definitely something you can look out for, because especially like the regular season and season 1 and 2, you had maybe 1 or 2 really good games, just in terms of like niveau. Basically, the two teams who will place 1 and 2, and then they couple each other in the regular season, and then that's a hype matchup. But then you had some matches, some stomps and stuff. And I think in this season, especially with all those new teams, with all those new faces, we have probably a higher competition here, so plenty more hype matchups, and I believe we have a pretty stacked league so far.
Yes, most definitely, and you said it, more teams, 12 teams in total over the 2 divisions, each with 6 teams competing. That's quite a lot of players, and with the divisions there is room to improve over the course of the years, because you can try, you have a goal. If you're in second division, you want to get to first division. If you're in first division, you want to stay in first division and play for the higher spots of the first division. So you can have this movement across and within the divisions, which in my personal opinion is always just perfect to get the competitive spirit really going, and giving you this this lust for fight, and to get on, get better against the different teams. First division being broadcast, every single match being broadcast, there is also the opportunity for teams to see every single game of their opponents. We have a double round robin going on for the regular season, so the first few times you kind of get a grasp of the teams, how you play against them, how they play against other teams. You can look how that goes, and then during the second part of the second round of the round robin, you can really adapt to their play styles and to other teams' play styles, and that's just wonderful to see. Especially in my opinion, in the Post Esports Masters in the past seasons, this was the case as well. We've always had this sort of adaptation coming in from even the teams that you would deem as weak at first. They would very often still kind of pull their strings out and be able to surprise you in a wonderful way. I remember a Team Slick in either season 1 or season 2, which had a really rough start and then ended at the third place in the finals with some really, really good games. Great adaptation, great teamwork coming out of them. And I think if you know the past Esports Masters, you cannot forget all the upsets we've had over the finals. I mean, the Season 1, you've mentioned it, Brotherhood of the Red Lions, having taken the title. Nobody would have expected that. Nobody. They came in as the underdog.
Yeah, that was a pretty hard matchup against Outplayed, and I think it was the first season where Outplayed had like Chinch and Daikara and all those famous names, and like they crushed the whole competition in the regular season. And out of nowhere, Brotherhood of the Red Lion just clapped them in the playoffs on stage, and that was really like you said, nobody expected that. So it was really a cool upset to see that a team which trained a little bit more and stuff and really tried hard to win it all actually won it all. So I hope we see something like that in this season as well.
Yeah, definitely. So be prepared for everything. We'll have the time to see over that. And of course, what's also wonderful to see is how Division 2 teams might scale up at the end of the division. The changes we'll have between the teams, because the idea, of course, of a division is to have teams in Division 1 stay for the next season and try to fight for the spots to stay against Division 2 teams. So we'll definitely have quite a few changes on that aspect, hopefully for the better over the course of the years to come. And these are not the only changes we've had in the past Esports Masters, which is why I'll reiterate. Go follow the social medias. There have been various different events. We've had back in December or November, we've had the post Esports Masters Mario Day, one of the first one-shot events, as we call them. So definitely quite a few things to follow up and quite a few changes coming in for this. We also have some other new stuff, cool stuff to show here for the pre-show for Stana. And if you would like, I would mention that we can go over to the interview of one of the teams, because we have an interview being made for every single team. They'll be rolling in over the course of the regular season as we prepare them. And I think we're starting off with the interview or esports team presentation video of Snooze Esports.
I really enjoy the competition, no matter what it is actually. Even if it is at work, or if it's in League, or in other video games, anything like that, I really enjoy it. Just giving my best and seeing the success that I'm getting out of it.
I'm Jesper, I'm JJS in-game, and I'm main top lane, and I'm from the Netherlands.
I am Ken, I am Kinetic in-game, I come from Luxembourg and I am the jungler.
My name is Nick, aka Woj. I'm from Luxembourg and the mid laner from Snooze.
My name is Dylan, I'm Rakusi, and I play the carry for Team Snooze, and also from Luxembourg.
I am Jan, aka Yatun. I'm from Luxembourg as well, and I play the support role.
I think most of our players started playing in the early seasons. Myself, I think it was season 3 or season 4. Our oldest player would be our mid laner, Reich. I think he started in season 2, where he'd also been a challenger since season 3. And then he kind of dropped league a bit, but now he's back and he's trying to prove himself again in the post league.
I have to admit that the new season is pretty good. I really like the fighting style. For example, we contest drops, minute 5, minute 6, then we have Herald minute 13, it's perma fighting.
We signed up at Post Esports Masters to just have a competition and yet again another tournament where we can play as mostly friends. We do have a little adaptation because we do not play with Team Shade anymore. We have a new top laner and it's mostly just for the fun and just try again at the esports team here in Luxembourg.
The qualifiers went pretty well. We won all 5 games, even though we had a little troll draft on the last one. And that actually influenced our supporters KDA, who had 0 deaths ranked during the 4 first qualifier games. But because of our little fun moment in the draft, his KDA kinda got worse.
We haven't really met any defeat yet, besides of a group stage in season 1 of Post League, I think. And honestly, we didn't really bother at all. Like, we've lost, we know we made mistakes, we knew we could beat them. And so the only thing we had to focus on was actually improving and beating them next time, which we did in the finals. I would say as team-wise, our proudest achievement would be the season 1 of Post League. For our top laner, I cannot really say anything because he's kind of new to us, to our team. And otherwise, individual, I would say the peak rank from some, like certain of our team members, which would be Grandmaster for our top laner, Grandmaster for myself, and then our mid laner, which has the highest peak yet, which would be Challenger. The only
it's a bit-
passion would be, honestly, I think it would be League of Legends for us, that we really enjoy as a game. We really enjoy the competitiveness of the game, and we enjoy just playing as 5, which it builds up a little family. It's just like that. We have our 5 players. We usually play always together. We meet up even outside of seasons, and we just hang around and we enjoy the company that we can get from a video game. And the real message we actually would want to pass is do not underestimate flex skill.
Well, that's a way to get introduced to Snooze Esports, dear spectators. Yes, as we've mentioned earlier, quite a few familiar faces. If you've watched League of Legends in Luxembourg, you most definitely have heard of most of these people, be it Rakuzi, be it Reich, be it Yatun, be it Kinetic, and if you've followed Luxembourg in League of Legends in other countries, you've even heard of JJS because he was top laner for Pertinax in the ESLOL 2nd division, where even Kinetic actually also played for a bit, right? I think you followed that as well, Verstana, haven't you?
Yeah, we casted the 2nd division actually last 2 splits actually. So was quite a fun thing to do, and of course JJS on the top lane with Pertinax had quite some good games there. And kind of stepped in as a substitute, and then just became the main top laner there. And he played really, really well. I mean, Pertinax, I think in the season 1 did not make playoffs, but season 2 they did or something. So in the end, Pertinax just a really well-known team there, and JJS definitely a strong top laner. So I believe that Snooze have some big players under their name, and maybe go in as the big dog to beat. I mean, you heard it in the qualifier; they just beat every single team, so that means something. And with that, probably they are the top dog and want to win it all. But of course, the league will not be easy, so they need to prove themselves.
Yeah, I mean, they've said it themselves. The last game, they had a bit of a struggle still, dropping Yatun's perfect up to now KDA for a bit. But that's the thing. You can always bite at what seems to be the bigger dog. Especially here, this is a rough fight. I mean, it's an uphill battle either way, because they've mentioned it. They've been playing together for quite a while. The team knows itself, but they're not the only friend group that is playing here. You'll see as the interviews actually come in over the course of the game days actually now. But I've had the honor to be there when they were shot. And as it is very often in Luxembourg, you play as friends and actually you're pretty good at playing as friends, and then you're like, well, yeah, actually we could play this tournament for fun, and then suddenly you're actually qualified and stuff. And this, I think, is very important, because it's not like you're a team that's been set up together to win this, but you already have this sort of cohesion going on between yourselves. You know each other, and I think very often if you play with friends, you're a bit more tilt-proof, actually, even. I don't know what's your take on that, Verstana. Maybe you have another opinion here.
No, it definitely helps if you bond together as a team, because if someone has a bad game, you can always cheer them up. You always know your friends will carry you even in tough games and stuff. So it really helps for the mental state in tough games. In good games, you can just get more energy out of win, because you can all just be happy and maybe do some stuff after the games, before the games. Because if it's just like a team which doesn't like each other, then usually Discord voice comms are pretty silent, and people join just 1 minute before the game and will instantly disconnect after the game and stuff. But if you are a friend group, usually they stick together even hours after the game, maybe even analyzing it together, or I don't know, play other games together just for team building purposes. So I believe that those friend groups actually are pretty strong. And maybe that was one of the reasons why Brotherhood of the Red Lion in Season 1 actually won against a maybe stronger team and outplayed, just because they maybe played to get better as a team together and are those big friends. So that's the power of friendship actually carried them.
Yeah, the power of friendship. And I think that's the last message that they left about don't underestimate flex queue. So very often we have players who rank really high. They're individually really great. They play a lot of solo queue. They hit Grandmaster, maybe even Challenger and so on. But then you're put in a context where teamwork primes over individual skill, unless there is a huge, gigantic gap between individual skills of players. But very often in this sort of competition, that's not the case. After a while, teamwork always wins against individual skill gaps, and having this experience already can make a huge difference. And that's what we've seen, you've said it, over and over again with Brotherhood of the Red Line Season 1. So don't underestimate Flex Q.
No, and I think it's a good playing ground as well. I mean, usually most teams would probably look for scrims and stuff, but then you need to schedule it, and you need to find an opponent, and sometimes you get cancelled and stuff. So looking for scrims sometimes can be really tedious. So just seeing all your friends online and just asking for a flex queue is much faster. You can do much more games and stuff, and so definitely a good practice as well, because there are actually some tryhard flex queue players in there. So sometimes those flex queue games actually get pretty tough.
Yeah, most definitely. Now we've talked a bit about Snooze Esports, and maybe we can also quickly go over the rosters of the different teams, and maybe we could start off with the two we're gonna see once that game is ready, those being VACE Esports and Hitmonli. Maybe we'll start with VACE Esports roster to take a look at that. That's not VACE, close enough, red does red. Here we go. And you said you know Thunder Yordle, is that right?
Yeah, that's actually right. I know Thunder Yordle. Actually, not too well, but there was a time where I was scrimming as a top lane actually, and I played against him, and I know him as a Cannon OTP on top lane. He isn't anymore, but like just his name. I mean, it's a Thunder Yordle, right? So Cannon. And I'm as a Poppy OTP, and I remember that in 2 of the 3 games, each team banned Cannon and Poppy, and in the last game we decided to do the matchup Poppy against Cannon and stuff. So that was pretty funny to play versus him. And of course, I have him since then on my friend list, so I usually see if he plays on the team and stuff. So I know him kind of good enough. And then which is quite funny, we have actually two German players, which I don't know, with Arpai and with Mace. So actually a funny lineup. So I hope that they will show us their best League of Legends today, because I could know so many of them.
That's very interesting. Actually, the thing with the Thunder Yordle, I was, that's a really weird name. Now that you mentioned Cannon, it makes absolute sense.
Yes.
I did not think of that. But oh well, yeah, that's pretty interesting to see. So we'll see how that goes. Originally signed up, not as VACE, but as Abyssal Warlords, and VACE signed them after the qualifiers, where they had a rather good run, qualifying for First Division against all the teams that participated. They'll be heading up against Hitmonli, a team which, we've mentioned it, we have some familiar faces. Maybe you don't immediately recognize the names, because there have been a few name changes, but for example, their mid laner, Blythe Malgi, used to also play First League for Corona Difference, and then for TSK, and I believe that one of them is his brother. I'm not sure anymore exactly which one, but there is I know there's 3 brothers that are behind that team, so they're not all on the main roster, but you see there's always this kind of come and go returning of players here in Luxembourg, right?
Yeah, definitely. And just seeing some more new faces in the team like that is always cool to know. I think they all come from Luxembourg actually, so it's just from what I know, it's a completely Luxembourgish team, which is pretty cool to see in such a competition. I mean, Snooze is 4 out of 5 Luxembourg, so that's always nice. But yeah, just seeing some new faces in the league always is a good thing, right? So I expect much from them, and actually, as one of our first matchups, those two could be pretty cool to see.
Yes, I think if we take a look a bit at the ranks, they seem to be rather close to each other on individual skill levels. Of course, we've mentioned it just now. That's not necessarily the key to winning. because teamwork will prevail in the end. But it still gives you an indicator on how certain matchups and certain lanes might go. We're still on teams which both qualified, so very strong teams that work well enough together to actually beat some other teams. So I think definitely we're going to have a very interesting matchup there. The second matchup we have today is Royal Lions versus Royal Family, and maybe we can take a look at their rosters as well, starting off with Red Lions maybe. Also the red color, just as a VACE, here we have them. The Orc, of course, well known in Luxembourg. Brotherhoods of the Red Lions, having won the first season of the Post Esports Masters, way back then called Post Esports League, just in case you didn't know. And overall, an org that is more or less active in Luxembourg when it comes to esports, with a roster, however, of players we do not quite know in Luxembourg yet.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. And I believe the supporter of this team is actually a little bit known, at least because she played in some female tournaments. So definitely pretty cool thing to see as well. So just having a female player on your team and just playing in those female tournaments is always cool. I enjoyed the watching in the scene and stuff. So definitely cool to see her here in this league.
It's definitely not something you see every time in League of Legends, especially in Luxembourg where the scene is still relatively small. So definitely cool to see. They will be heading up against Royal Family's roster. Now this is also a really strong roster. They played in the qualifiers under the name of the Pirates Bay. Not Royal Family. Royal Family signed them after the qualifiers. And here also one familiar face, because we have a Valerian participating here. I believe he's the Foxy called now. And he also used to play way back when in the Post Esports Masters alongside Ginge.
Yeah, definitely. So was a cool lineup. And then of course we have Axo and Dan. And if someone watched the second division of the year as well, then you recognize those two as well, because they play in German gang and actually stay with this org right now in the second division of the year as well. So two really strong players. I really enjoy Axo, but also the other guys in this lineup all just participated in some other stuff, like in the Open Tours format back then in 2021. Or like the Pro-Am tournament from the Elite Series and stuff. So definitely a lot of known names actually in this Royal Fam lineup. And just from the names, I would assume, especially with Dan and with Axo, that could be like the second top dog for the whole tournament. Actually, I definitely know that they could be strong enough to get into finals.
Yeah, especially I think I remember quite a few monstrous games from Dan back in the second division of ESL. Axel as well, you've mentioned. Very good players if the cohesion sticks. I think they are also probably the scariest team for Snooze Esports on paper. We also have some very high ranking players, which I'm not going to repeat myself, but it's still an indication of individual players' skills, which is still important. Last but not least, we have one last team to go over until we've seen all of the rosters, and that is Stabil. Maybe you can take a look at their players. And here as well, there's actually, yes, you've mentioned it, a few familiar names, namely Trigger Happy, which I feel like I've been seeing come back in every single tournament I saw since I started doing this here in Luxembourg, actually.
Yeah, so Trigger Happy is the player I know at least a little bit. Just because we saw him plenty of times in the other Post Esports Masters games, and then actually the midline the jungler is actually not too known, but at least I know him, a player formerly mid laner of a German team. He played in the Prime League, for example, for Devisen. In one split at least in 2021. So you can know him, but you don't need to know him. and then actually a second German player. So I think it's pretty cool to see as a German caster to see some of those German players, but also great that they have actually 3 Luxembourgish player in their team with Trigger Abbey, for example. So it's pretty cool to see those lineups.
Yeah, most definitely, and I think it's good that we've mentioned it. It's not all Luxembourgish players that we have here. You mentioned there's a few German players, we have Dutch players, we have Belgian players, we have French players from all over. Post Esports Masters has always had as its main region Luxembourg and the greater region. We've expanded that in order to have people be able to make 5-man rosters to play in League of Legends. So currently, if you're interested, the limitations are 3 players, at least in a team, have to be from the Benelux or the greater region, which includes, I believe, Lorraine from France and Saarland from Germany. And the 2 others, or substitutes, may be from anywhere in Europe, reaching more teams all over the place, which makes for very interesting teams to compose, for new players to kind of join in, see what this is about, and this gives us, as Luxembourg, new opponents as well that we can fight on our home turf, which is always wonderful to see. We'll be heading towards the first game in a short amount of time. VACE Esports versus Hitmonli. I'll give you a bit of context here. There have been a few issues with the spectator mode, because we are watching a game that is made by a poor company that can't get a spectator mode running at all times of the year. That happens. It's the start of the season, you know. It happens. It happens to the best of us. So we've had to find a solution, which means that the teams are actually playing the games and we're getting the replays to cast for your convenience, because at least we can do that. But don't be surprised if we cannot see the draft because of that, because we're heading straight into the game, so we don't have the entire draft before our eyes. But maybe we can also already still talk about what has been picked for the upcoming game. I believe we have the screenshot here. I don't know if you have it under your eyes for Stana.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I have it. So just to I just want to clarify one thing. It's just really a Riot problem. They just I don't know, this kind of spectate bug where the lobby as a spectator just crashes and you can't not watch it anymore is really a known thing, and hopefully it's patched out with the next patch or something. But like everywhere, like I know it from the German Prime League, for example. All the communities just cry loud because they cannot cast games and stuff. So it's really sad for us to kind of need to rely on those replays, but at least it's better than nothing. And like you said, hopefully with the next patches or in the next couple of weeks, we have like the spectate mode fixed by Riot, and then we have like the normal stuff for you. Anyway, we have a pretty interesting draft because there's like a new champ with Smolder actually. Mm-hmm. I don't want to talk too much about it before we can't see it, but there was like a gentleman agreement in Division 1 that teams wanted to allow Smolder. So Smolder is open, and they actually first picked it, and then we had some crazy picks, some meta ones, some cool counter picks, like a Blitzcrank against Emilio, for example, old school counter, of course. And then just a double ADC combo for Tristana coming in mid lane against Akali. And in the end, Thunderyor that actually got his cannon. So that's a pretty hype matchup because I see him on his little OTP, you could say. Mm-hmm. And I quite enjoy his gameplay. So hopefully we see a good game from both sides, of course, and some meta picks like Milidution, Nocturne, and stuff. So will be a pretty strong game from both sides, and hopefully we can get in as soon as we can.
Mm-hmm. So what is there to look out for in this game? You've mentioned that there is Smolder. As far as I know, he can become pretty monstrous, especially in the later stages of the games. I've seen a few clips where he can deal a bunch of damage bunch of burst damage if he gets his stuff right. On the other hand, he'll be going up against Nakali, which is an assassin. What do you think about that matchup? What do you think that the new champ will be able to hold up here in this lane?
It's probably kind of dangerous for him because Smola is an ADC, so just having him against an assassin is a little bit tough. I don't know if Tristana or Smola goes mid lane.
I think
could be either one.
It's a Tristana.
Yeah.
It's a Tristana. Yeah.
So but I mean both are ADC, so both have troubles against assassins. Not in the early game, especially like range against melee matchups. Usually play out that Akali, for example, needs to play a little bit more safe. She gets poked a lot. She needs to stay on the turret. Might drop 10 or 20 CS or something. But after she reaches her power spikes, for example, first item and stuff, she pretty much has always kill pressure on an ADC. And I think Tristana on lane is pretty powerful and has always tools like the ultimate, the buster shot, or even her jump to get away from an assassin.
Mm-hmm.
So could be a good matchup. And especially they picked Tristana into Akali. So they kind of counter-picked the Akali. I believe there are stronger counter-picks, but still it's a pretty cool thing to see. And hopefully he knows what he does.
Yes, hopefully he does, and we will see how that turns out, because I'm hearing that the game is indeed ready. So let's jump into the very first game of this 5th season of the Post Esports Masters, VACE Esports versus Hitmonli. And here we are in the Summoner's Rift, everybody setting up, both teams about to appear in their respective fountains. There we go. And we're set for the first game. I hope you're as excited as I am, Tristana, because I most definitely am.
Yeah, that's really cool to see. I mean, it's the first game, and I'm really hyped. Especially because of Thunder Yola. I don't know. I just like him as a player. And I had like the small little rivalry in one little scrim, so it's not much. But anyway, we see a little invade here. I mean, it's a blitzcrank, so of course you want to invade, but Hitmonli actually thinks, yeah, let's invade as well, or not invade, but there's like this brush play where one team wants the brush control, so they usually ward the second brush, and if you just 5-man stacked in the brush, you can clear the board, of course, and maybe kill him. And especially both lanes, I mean, especially Milio and Lucian, have a lot of early game pressure. They have pretty strong trade patterns, so they getting this brush control is really important, especially against a blitzcrank, because he usually tries to sneak into the brush and Chukuyu. So if you can set up this control in a brush and maybe even get them out of there, you have a much better lane for you.
Definitely. I'm also seeing in the chat someone saying MZ on Smolder Pog, so maybe a champ that he's been playing quite a lot since the release. We can already see early aggression, the hook coming in, some damage being traded left and right, but for now it's pretty even.
Yeah, and both supports trading half is usually a little bit better for the ranged one, just because if the melee one is too low, then he can never all in, because he would just die in the all in, while the range carry usually is safe enough. And there you can see 2 landing hooks actually from up high. Really well played from him, but of course level 1 there's not really much damage there against the shields of Milio. And then Smola, of course, is a scaling champion, so he is like that oppressive in a lane and cannot really bully in the start of the game, so those hooks kinda are just a little bit of poke, but will not really threaten the solution.
Yes, try to not let them actually start taking the pressure is very important, especially this early in the games you've mentioned. So as to not have a Lucian start rolling over you. I think they're doing a good job for now with those hooks. At least top lane Thunder Yodel as well, using his range advantage as he should.
Yeah. And the funny thing about range matchups with Malphite, and especially Malphite picked Malphite into Cannon. Normally you say an AP champion top lane counters a little bit the Malphite because Malphite wants to build armor and stuff, so he doesn't really like to build a magic resistance. And so usually it's a good pick against the Malphite, but against a ranged champion in top lane, Malphite can go for this Comet build, where he maxes Q and goes for Comet Scorch and just out-pokes you actually at some point, because a ranged champion is usually not too tanky, and if he just lands 2 or 3 or 4 Qs, which is point to click, so he will always land it, then the cannon is on really low HP, and then you can just ult the cannon, maybe one-shot them. So AP Malphite, or at least going a little bit AP or just going for the Comet, usually works against ranged champions like Cannon or Na.
There's flashes out on the bot lane, up high being ignited, should be able to survive this, however. I want to add on this top lane matchup, especially in the early stages of the game, but overall, for an AP champion, Cannon is still rather reliant on his auto attacks, so this actually also plays into Malphite's hands still, in this matchup at least, because you need to get those auto attacks out to get the stacks in order to be able to get the stun out right.
Yeah.
Ooh, up high with the hook. Went in a bit of a tricky situation here, but didn't get caught, didn't land the hook either, but oh well.
Yeah, it's a little bit greedy from him to stay, but I mean, if he lands a hook like that under the turret, then maybe they need to flash out of it, so it was a good play by RPi actually to stay and to bait them a little bit. So, well played by him in the end, and now he can just reset, right? But what we actually see right now is those 2 prio lanes with like Cannon as a ranged versus melee, always has prio in the early game. Then Tristana against Akali, ranged versus melee, so has a lot of prio in the early game. So this Y, especially on top side, can invade a lot, can try to do plays, because she always knows her laner would be there.
Yeah, do you have the engage here on to the Akali, the shield joining in as Tristana is forced to flash out, Sedoku getting quite a bit of damage, but putting some damage out, and yeah, with that Vi going so aggressive into the jungle, we're starting to see quite a lot of skirmishes that can devolve, degenerate here. Sedoku gets the Q out, flashes into it to get the flea out, Blight Magi flashes in as well, gets some damage out on the Vi, first blood for the shield on his Tristana, and he keeps on going. Is it going to be the double kill? Is the mid laner of Hitmonli going to be able to get out of this situation in the middle of 2 players of VACE Esports? TP coming in on the top lane from the cannon. RPi also moved from the bot lane. They're out for blood here. And I think he is TPing to the turret. And he might be able to make it. Yes, he does. No CC up to interrupt him. Close situation, though.
Yeah, well, was a good play by him. Another option would have been that he just goes to one of the turrets and just try to execute himself. With that, he wouldn't like use the teleport, and hopefully he gets executed. If he is unlucky, then he just dies and gives up a kill. So maybe the teleport play actually was a little bit smarter. So well played by him. What we can see here, by the way, are those void crops. It's a new objective in the early game in this new season. And they give you a little bit more turret pushing or structure pushing. And what was funny is that Nocturne just took one of them, because the first Void Crop actually gives the most XP. So what junglers usually can do is just taking one of them and just running away if they don't have Prio, for example, just to get the XP, but not taking all of them, because all of them usually needs a little bit more time, because if you kill one, then the other ones get shields, for example, and especially, like I said, he has 2 pushing lanes against him with Tristana and with Cannon, so taking crops is a little bit risky with no prior, but in this case, Tristana was in base, and I think Cannon wasn't there, so he could just take them all, especially with the Akali together and with Minu. So, was a good play. Getting Void Crops, getting all 3 Void Crops is really strong. And now even maybe getting Drake, so this is quite a start from Hitmonli.
Yeah, definitely setting the pace here on the map. The Vi did just back after the blue buff, so not quite there yet. Drake is getting really low. You have the Q charging up, ready to get into the pit. Who's going to get it? It's the blue team. VACE is able to take it. However, in the middle of them, Hitmonli gets the kill on the Vive. Vashil tries to get a return kill on the enemy support, but is going to die at the hands of Lubu, the AD carry of Hitmonli. MZ and Apai still alive, try to kite their way out. No, that's the third kill going into the hands of the red team.
Yeah, that's probably worst case now for VACE. Even though they got the Drake, well played. Tristana got it with auto attack or something, was pretty close. But it's really worst case for them because Akali now, as an assassin, has 2 kills. And like you are fully squishy. I mean, Blitzcrank a little bit tanky and Wine a little bit tanky. But there are just 3 really squishy carries. And it's an assassin. So Akali, with this lead, can probably one-shot all of them.
Engage on the bot lane here onto Lubu. A lot of damage falling on the Lucian player. I don't believe that he's going to escape from this. He tries to get the return kill, but does not. And I was going to say, he also got a kill before, and that could also look a bit bad, be an ill omen for VACE Esports. But with this return kill, at least the bot lane puts themselves back in a more comfortable position still.
Yeah. And what a gank there. Just getting Smolder a kill really helps. Because he's a scaling champion, so he likes to get kills, he likes to get stacks. By the way, if you don't know what Smolder can, actually, he gets stacks. There's a stacking mechanic where his spells get better by those stacks, and he gets stacks if he hits champions with spells, and if he last hits with his Q, so kind of a little bit like Weiger. And then his Q ability actually gets better and better over time. For example, his Q at the start is just a fireball, and then it's a fireball with a little bit AoE, and then it's a fireball who drops more fireballs on the ground, and at his final form, he is a little Elder Drake, for example. He can execute people with Q and stuff. So that's pretty cool. I think the thresholds are 25 stacks, 125 stacks, and 225 stacks or something. So keep that in mind if you see Smolder, and his Q gets really strong after a couple of minutes. So just if you see it later on team fights, you know what I mean.
So we'll keep an eye out for that. He's still a bit behind in CS compared to Lubu. He's not a whole kill behind, because I think this could have given Hitmonli the opportunity to not only leverage a stacking lead on the mid lane, but also get something going on onto the spot lane, which would put VACE in definitely a sour spot, because they have a lot riding on the Smolder right now. He will need to get those stacks. They need to be able to get into the late game to really get him shining, I think, here. Oh, small encounter here in the jungle. Grimmig is not able to get out of the range of the fear, but the shield puts enough pressure to dissuade Sadokul from going any further.
Yeah, and I don't know if I want to talk because I couldn't be engaged.
Yeah, looks like we have the engage with Enchanted Battery. Paranoid falling down with a lot of damage falling on the support of Hitmonli is forced to back down a bit. Vashil gets under the turret but dies at the hands of the Akali player. Maelstrom onto 3 people, gets some CCs, a kill for the AD carry of VACE Esports as the fight keeps on going. He has to retreat now, separate from his team. Nice hook coming in from a pie. Goes to Thunder Yol, who keeps the pressure on the enemy team. Hitmonli is forced to back down here. We have the Q not landing, but the flash out from the Malphite, and with that, I think the situation de-escalates a bit.
Yeah, and what a fight about those quad crabs. Both teams just try to contest it, and in the end, VACE is successful with that, and especially because of this last hook, they got a lot out of this play, and now get 3 white cards. Oh, there's a teleport actually.
Teleport coming in. Yes.
Okay, they just contested and get 3 void crabs, while VACE just gets 2. So if you get 5 or 6, then you will spawn little void mites in the end. But because one team has 2 and the other team has 4, we will never see that in this game. And maybe later with the Herald, but he will spawn some. But anyway. But that was quite a fight there. And actually what we can see, you talked about the farm of Smolder, who was a little bit behind. Now he's even. But especially if you look the farm lead on top lane and mid lane, like Tristana really doing a great job out farming Akali there. Because it's range versus melee, so Akali can't really contest the wave CS. And that's why he's even ahead, even though Akali has 2 more kills, for example. That's kind of funny. There you can see the power of CSing and the power of farm, right? But also, I don't know, we see who's the richest guy on the Rift. It's actually Thunder, right? With 5,200 or something. Probably kill plus some plates plus more farm and stuff. So he's doing great. Anyway, I have one quick pop quiz for you. Maybe before they fight around the strike. Do you know what the ultimate name of Smolder is? Because it's quite a funny name.
Oh, I know it. It's like, it goes like this. Mom! Right?
Yeah, that's such a cool name, right? Just Mom, it's so cool. It's like Charge, or it's like Nar by Nar. It's really cool.
Yeah. It's a good name. And as we speak, we have the engage onto the middle lane. We get Lubu in the middle of it with a hook. But the first to fall is Grimmigaboral on the side of FaZe Esports. And with that, they are forced to fall back. Vasher puts some more pressure. Lubu really low, is able to survive this after getting hooked in the middle of FaZe Esports.
Yeah, that was quite close. I mean, he wanted to use the culling to run them down, and in the end got hooked, but survived. Oh, fun of it.
Ooh, nice.
With the solo Bolo in the top lane, and I mean, to be fair, Malphite built armor with the Sunfire, so he had quite a good matchup there. I mean, there are some magic resist with the boots, but Thunder Yordle is pretty strong if there is no like API and magic resistance item on Malphite, like a kinetic Rookhound or whatever it's called, would be a good item, for example, against the cannon, or at least building like the spirit code or whatever it's called, like the pre-item, which is really good against those AP champions. Anyway, but we can see like it's 5-5 in terms of kills, but it's a mighty 3,000 gold lead because of first turret, because of farm leads, and so on and so on. So at the moment, VACE is really doing a great job actually in this game, and now even rotating with the whole team to the top lane turret to get another turret. And there you can see actually this cloring, this violet cloring at the turret is the damage from those void crabs. It's just true damage. Always when you attack a turret, you get some true damage ticking over time to damage the turret.
There's quite a few new interesting stuff that came in with this new season. And we really have, I think, we need to put some highlight on how well VACE is turning around the map. At first, I thought that Hitmonli had the control of this game, but very quickly VACE was able, after minor setbacks in the early game, to wrestle back control, get back ahead. I think it was huge that they got actually 2 of those void grubs, as you've mentioned. Hitmonli would have had a huge buff with 5 or even 6 of them. And now setting the pace, beautifully moved around the map. They almost got the bot lane turret as well. We have the Paranoia dropping onto Vapai here. He might be caught. I don't think he's going to survive that, but the rest of his team is joining in. Grimmy Ball now in the middle of Hitmonli, tries to get a kill, but gets so low he dies at the hands of the Akali player. And with that, Hitmonli takes back some control over this game, saying, no, we still are apt to fight here. Thunder Yordle coming in with the slicing Maestral, standing 2 people. Beautifully played from the cannon player here.
Yeah, what an engage by him, just flashing over the wall, getting some damage done. And what I tried to see, or at least I tried to think about that, is that VACE is maybe a little bit stronger, like on the individual skill level, just by farming, just by those little outplays, like we see Thunder Yordle sees 4 people, they just flash in, gets one, or like the hooks, for example. The hooks are a great example, because I believe Hitmonli at the moment is playing those fights as a team, as a group, much better, because they see the angles with the Nocturne, they see the angles with like those team fight engages, and then VACE always gets out with like a lucky hook, for example, because Alpa is just such a good blitzcrank, or with individual great plays from like a Thunder Yorda just finding a good flank. But they kind of lose those team fights, and but they are just better in terms of farming, so they have more for farm lead, and then the rotations are a little bit better. So at the moment, it's kind of like better team fighting on one hand and better individual performance maybe on the other hand. So that could be quite an interesting matchup, because in the end, team fights maybe matter more. Who knows? Especially like a minute 30 team fight or something. When you ace them, you can take the base or something. So let's see if Hitmonli is not falling too far behind, and maybe finding some clutch angles to start Baron, for example, to get those trakes, for example, and just to win those team fights.
Here we saw the charge of the Rift Herald with the jungle inside of it. With that, VACE Esports picks tier 2 on the top lane, and it's a really good reaction from Hitmonli, deciding to go for the Drake in the meantime. You have two people here, they might get a catch on the AD carry of VACE Esports. In the meantime, on top lane, we also have a team fight going on. Vashel forced to W away and busts a shot. Lubu out of the way. Will he be able to get away with the rocket jumps? They keep on sticking onto him, and I think that's a kill for Yorick Ovens. In the meantime, on the bot side, VACE Esports was able to push back Hitmonli from this Drake, and all in all, well played from VACE Esports, who are able to get out ahead of this exchange. In my opinion, one player loss for two objectives is pretty good, although Hitmonli is not done with this Drake, huh?
And it was a good spell shield by Nocturne. He cannot go for the steal, but yeah, 2 objectives for a kill. So that's pretty much what we can see, that VACE kind of a little bit better in those rotations and in those objective takedowns, but struggle in those fights, like a little bit at least. And yeah, but good Dragon takedown there, and especially like this Nocturne engage on Smolder. I mean, you can see Smolder used both Summoner spells, so he was kinda dying against Arcadi Nocturne, but got out of there. And if you just check out the gold, actually Thunder Yorda still in the lead together with Wazel? Wazil? I don't know. I'm so bad in. I'm just bad in pronouncing probably some names.
Yep, and he finds purchase on the one enemy who's got the shutdown going on. Blive Magi on the Akali takes him down with ease. He doesn't care about the camouflage when he's got ultimate up. They pick up a tier 1 on the bot lane. With that, VACE Esports goes ahead with a 5k gold lead, and the first slew of towers completely gone.
Yeah, and just look at his items. Thunder Yorda has 2 complete items, and especially Shadow Flame is a little bit new. I mean, it's not a new item, but it has a new effect, because back in the day, it was again a really good spell shield actually. That was clutch. Back in the days, now they engage.
Yeah, maybe the counter engage Paranoia falling in. We find purchase on the Viper alone. We can't do much. The team is able to join back in now with the TP from Blive Magi on this turret. Baron Nashor is now up. It's the next objective you're looking for. And Hitmonli is making sure to build a perimeter outside of it. And they actually go for the Baron.
Yeah, that could be so risky. But they have the opportunity, especially with Malphite ult, to just re-engage. And just to find maybe an angle now with Arcadia on the side.
And they're looking for it. They decide to go in, but VACE was able to scatter before. Lots of damage coming in with the slicing maelstrom. And just the AoE CC and damage. Blive Magi is able to pick up an engage kill, but is going to die at the hands of the Smolder. Grimmibigan Bogle on his Vi is able to push back Yorick Ovens. And overall, this turns a really sour for Hitmonli. I really like the way VACE Esports kind of spread out coming towards the pit, and just denying the ultimate of the Malphite here.
Yeah, I mean, and in the end it was just an unlucky fight for Hitmonli, because Nocturne ult didn't really got anything, and then Malphite ult just got dodged by someone, and it was just a one-man ult, but it got dodged. So in those 2 ultimates, if they land on multiple people, if they can one-shot someone and maybe snowball from that, then they have a pretty good team fight. But without those tools, especially with Thunder Yorda, just finding this flash engage again is so crucial that they just won it in the end. And now with Baron, they are definitely in the driver's seat. I mean, you can see it. It's 8,000 gold in the lead. So that's probably not a lead. Hitmonli is able to climb back just because it's maybe too far ahead. And with this Baron, they will just grant a much bigger lead probably. But maybe they find now this Tristana.
Yes, the catch. Paranoia is dropping a lot of damage, falling onto the Tristana, the calling as well. Lubu picks up that kill. MZ coming in from the back is going to use the ultimate bunch of damage onto Lubu. Zedokal is forced to flash into the Dragon Pit. 1-for-1 this team fight as Yorick Ovens comes in a bit late compared to his teammates, but they're able to get some damage out on the enemies. Careful for the slicing Maelstrom. Man, Thunder Yodel on this cannon just deals so much damage already.
Yeah, and it's all about this item, but because this new Shadow Flame actually deals critical magic damage if the targets are below, I think, 30% life or something. So his spells just critting them out of their life. And especially, I mean, you can see it, he has 2 big staffs in his inventory, so he will build Rabadons next. Probably have it now with the recall. And then he has just 3 items, and he is such a big boy now that he will hurt. He will hurt a lot.
Yep. Big Yodel times coming in on the Summoner's Rift. Maybe a catch on the Smolly here as Paranoia is dropped by Zedokal. The Vi just around the corner tries to get over with the Q. Lots of damage with the Fiam as he gets really low. Is able to guide his way under the turret as he picks up the counter kill together with his teammates on the Nocturne. Try to still look nice hook from a pie. What a monster on this Blitzcrank, and with that VACE keeps the pace going. They go in with the charge and battery. Hitmonli forced to fall back here as the pressure keeps on rising on the sides of VACE Esports. We try to look for the kill up pie really low here. Has to be careful. Still looked for a hook maybe, but I think now he's going to be a bit more careful for a few seconds.
He played with the fire there, holy. He just, I don't know, he just wanted to keep them away and then suddenly almost got one shot by the Akali. But it worked out, so well played by him. And in the end, his team VACE got the 3rd drake of the game and a 10k gold lead as well. So yeah, that's something. And what you can see actually right now is that the fire is burning from Mace. So he has his 225 stacks. With that, he is a little Elder Drake, you could say. I think he is executing people with like 5% or something like that. If they reach like this little white bar at the health bar, then they will just instantly die, like with Elder Drake. And with more and more stacks, I think this bar even gets higher and higher. So he is endlessly stacking and gets a bigger threat with each single minion he takes down with his Q.
Yes, and I wanted to mention, VACE Esports with this composition has such an explosive AoE damage burst thing going on. So you have Thunder Yodel, who consistently is actually able to stun at least 2 people with his slicing Maelstrom, already dealing a bunch of damage when the stun comes out and so on. You have the shield with who with the bomb can also get some nice AoE damage going, and the as well with a bunch of AoE abilities from Smolder, and it just works so well in team fights. It's always so explosive. Once they find the purchase, it just goes boom kaboom. And Hitmonli is just almost already dead. And it's so wonderful to see how strong VACE is in this game right now and how well they keep the pace going here.
No. Van der Yodel is looking for a flank.
Yeah, we have on the middle lane, Jorgovens in the middle of VACE is not going to be able to survive this here. We saw the execute coming in as well. TP coming in on top of that of Vashil, and they have 5 men on the mid lane versus 4 people up for Hitmonli. Take tier 2. Baron is spawning in a few seconds. It's a good time to take a reset, cash in that money you've made now by pushing, and be ready for the next big fight.
Yeah, and what I want to say about Crimming Boral is that after he did a really like aggressive item build with Sundered Sky, and then not like getting ahead too much. I mean, he is 2 and 3, so kind of died a little bit in the early game. He decided to go for full tank because, I mean, if you just look at his whole team, you have like a fat cannon, a fat Smolder, even a kind of fat Tristana. So why should he build more damage if his team can carry him if he is just tanky enough? So that's the reason why we built this kinetic thing and, of course, Frozen Heart. And now he tries to build probably a Sterex or maybe a Black Cleaver or something, because he has 2 ADCs, so Black Cleaver has kind of a lot of value. And now they start up this Baron, but they cannot really contest it. I mean, Nocturne can try to fly in.
Yeah, and he does. He gets the steal with the flash. Gets back to safety. That's the objective. Bounty coming in for Hitmonli as well. These are the small plays they need to look for in order to try and get back. There is still a huge gold gap in favor of VACE Esports, but this already puts you in a more comfortable position.
Yeah, I mean, I was right. They can't contest it, but I never said they can't steal it, right? So he just casually stole it, flying in, flashing out. What a man here, just holding his team in the game. I mean, it's still 9k goals, right? So it's not easy to come back from the situation, but now with Baron, you at least can hold your own and try to scale up. But if you just compare all those lanes, I think the sad thing is that probably Hitmonli gets outscaled. I mean, bot lane probably gets outscaled. Medio actually maybe outscales Blitzcrank, but Smolder just endlessly stacking Tristana, in my opinion, especially in later team fights, way much more stronger than Akali. You have not the best peel, but Thunder Yordle is enough peel, you could say. And Viol, for example, as well. And then like Vi probably is a little bit skills maybe as good as Nocturne, and top lane probably Thunder Yordle is outscaling everybody at the moment. So this time Hitmonli bought themselves maybe isn't helping them too much, but still keep them alive.
Yes, definitely. I think saying that it keeps them alive is worth mentioning. And another hook from a pile. With that, they fight the engage, a lot of damage on the Malphite. That's not usually a target you want, but Thunder Yordle is able to get in back line, but the CC is too good. Hitmonli is able to get the shutdown. 2 members down. They still keep pushing, but at what cost? They're now forced to fall back as Sedokl and Lubu are the only members standing. They tried to look for the purchase on our pile, but he was right around the corner, and that should be ace for VACE Esports.
Well played in the end. I mean, they got Thunder Yordle, so well played in money, but in the end, VACE is successful in this fight. And then there was a little trap. They tried to call Mace, but they couldn't. He's just too strong and actually goes for full damage. There are some item builds with Smolder to just go, I think, 2 or max 3 offensive items, and then kind of go like a Kog'Maw or a Vayne with with tank items. Just because you are a scaling champion, you just need to survive. So there are people who just build him a little bit more tanky after some damage. But of course he can build full damage as well.
Whoa, yeah, we saw the damage of an Akali going in. Double kill for Blythe as Hitmonli is taking their last stand here. They keep on going, but the Akali player is gonna die now at the hands of Grimmige Borel. Now you have the Paranoia coming in. We try to get the Smolder off the map, but he is just too good with his jungler. And he is able to stay alive. 3 people up for VACE Esports versus 3 for Hitmonli. It's a tie in manpower.
And who needs tank items if you just out-tanks them anyway? I mean, that here you can survive Akali and Nocturne, and in the end even Malphite. It's just phenomenal gameplay right now for Amazon. You just need to think about it. They first picked Smolder. So the whole Hitmonli team knew what's coming up, and still Smolder keeps on living and keeps on carrying this game. And maybe just in terms of draft, you could have said, yeah, there are some people who just say outrange Smolder, because his Q, actually, I mean, it looks like a lot of range with those little fireballs jumping off. but his cast range is just 500 or something, 550 maybe. So you can try to outrange him, for example, in team fights. That's one thing, or just full engage. And I mean, Malphite, Nocturne, Akali. I mean, they try to full engage him, but it just is not working.
Yeah, they're able to get a few picks left and right, but I mean, to be fair, they need to take down 3 people.
Yeah.
They need to take down Smolder, Tristana, and Cannon. And you can't assassinate 3 people with 2 assassins. There's a mathematical issue here, which is a difference of 1, and a hook again from Vashil. I think take out Primal G, the greatest threat on sides of Hitmonli. Lubu is also getting clobbered here and right, but he's able to get back out with a calling. Some nice damage falling onto the enemy team, and some nice peeling going on, but it's not enough. VACE Esports is able to take 4 members of Hitmonli down. With that, they can rotate towards that bot lane inhib, get the wave onto the mid lane, and I believe finish this game.
Yeah, that looks really, really good for VACE to get their first win of the season with, I don't know, with a really, really strong performance from Mace, from Thunder Yordle, just crushing the competition here in game 1. And yeah, that's just a well-played game. But to say something, Hitmonli actually did a really good early game, I believe. So definitely credits where I can give credits. But in the end, VACE just looks like the stronger team, at least in this first match of the day. And yeah, well played for both teams.
Yeah, most definitely a strong start in the season. VACE Esports being able to keep the pace going after getting a small lead at the start. And that's just some wonderful League of Legends sing from them. Yes, I am inventing words here and there. Just for this. Unfortunately, Hitmonli not able to take the win here. But it is what it is. First game of the season. You can still allow yourself to have this kind of situation.
Yeah.
And yes.
We have just for you guys to know, we will switch back soon. There's just one little technical issue right now. So we see it's still the end screen. Ah, there we are.
There we are.
It's switched. It's back in business. And actually, just for you guys to know, we will see VACE later this day as well.
Yes.
I don't know if we can put up the schedule. I don't know if Rishi is hearing us, but just if we want to check it out, if you can see it, that would be so cool. Yeah, there it is. VACE will play the last game of the day as well. So maybe we see Thunder Yordle again or Cannon. Who knows? Maybe we see Smaller again. Who knows? But let's first see the next matchup: Redline and Royal Family Esports. I don't know, and I don't know if we go into a small break now or if we just jump directly in. I think you know it better.
Yes, we do go into a small break in order to get the game ready. As I've said at the start, we are working with the replays because of the spectator mode issues that are currently going on the live service, which means that players need to finish the game before we can watch it. Luckily, they were super cooperative, it seems, and ready to start the games earlier, which is wonderful. Big thanks to the teams for being so reactive. But we need for it to finish, and thus we go into a small break before we go to game 2 of today. See you soon.